From getting honest about fake YouTube BS to the UFC world calling this upcoming bout a clown show, here's how Andrew Tate reacted to the Paul vs. Diaz fight. Turns out Andrew's had a change of opinion. I guess a 3-month stay in Romanian prison has really taken a toll on the influencer. Cause I bet you remember how much he hated Jake Paul in 2022. I mean, these two were completely at it. From taking shots at each other on the internet to intense face-offs, things were really heating up between them. But there must have been a turn of events, cause Tate's being friendly with Paul, which nobody saw coming. Tate's not in prison anymore, but he's still on house arrest. Of course, this doesn't stop him from doing what he does best, stirring up controversy on the internet. After Paul promoted his upcoming fight with Diaz on Twitter, Tate decided to drop a comment that shocked fans. The internet personality wrote, "A real fight. Unlike most of the fake YouTube BS out there, good luck to both." Now, there are way too many things wrong with the comment. I don't know what to freak out about more. The fact that Andrew is being nice to Paul, or the way he's not being controversial for once. This was definitely out of character for the 36-year-old, and this comment has sent the internet into a frenzy. Fans are slamming Tate for his recent comment. I mean, everyone is confused as hell. Last we heard, Tate and Paul absolutely hated each other. So what's with the friendly behavior, Tate? A fan called out the former kickboxer and said, "I swear you hated Jake." Andrew responded and explained how things have changed between the two. He said that he couldn't be mad at Paul because he was a boxer and that he was using attention to make as much money as possible. I guess that impressed him, no matter what anyone thinks. Paul versus Diaz is going to be an interesting fight. I mean, Jake's all that in the influencer boxing world, and Diaz was the first guy in the UFC to beat Conor McGregor. So it could be true that Tate is simply excited about the upcoming bout. I mean, it still doesn't sit right with me because Andrew was never a fan of influencer boxing. He has a pro background in kickboxing, so it makes sense why he would think influencer boxing is a clown show. But it looks like he's a fan now. Of course, this sudden change of opinion confused fans, but it also managed to rub another YouTuber turned boxer the wrong way. Yup, Paul's longtime rival KSI mocked Tate for promoting the upcoming bout. It must be the Brits' hatred for Paul that made him call out Tate. If you don't know, KSI and Paul have been enemies for years now. I mean, it's so serious that KSI's career goal is to fight the former Disney star and win, obviously. Tate wishing Paul well for his upcoming bout didn't sit well with the Brit, to which he responded with a meme that said, "Flag on the play, unnecessary writing." It's crazy to think why Tate's tone with Paul changed overnight, and KSI is probably thinking the same. There's something going on behind the curtain between Paul and the former kickboxer. There has to be. Someone needs to fill fans in on why amends were made between them. And as for KSI, he might have provoked the controversial internet personality for a match in the ring. Yeah, he's on house arrest, but KSI versus Andrew Tate is far from impossible. This fight is definitely on the cards, especially after the Brit vowed to destroy Tate. Earlier in May 2023, KSI posted a clip of Andrew sparring, and he didn't have the nicest things to say about it. The Brit captioned the clip, "From watching this, I would absolutely destroy Andrew Tate. Watch me on May 13th for those that don't believe me." KSI put on the gloves against Joe Fournier on the 13th. He ended up winning the fight with a second-round knockout, but things took quite a turn when eagle-eyed fans noticed that it was actually an illegal elbow knockout. Yeah, not the victory KSI was hoping for, because the internet was quick to troll him on his controversial win. KSI is now negotiating with pro boxer Tommy Fury for his next fight. But I'm sure the Sidemen member and Tate can make something work in the future. Once Tate isn't on house arrest in Romania, that is, it'll definitely be one hell of a fight for boxing fans. Until then, they have Diaz versus Paul to watch out for. This one's on the road to becoming the biggest fight of the year, and that's all thanks to Diaz and his criminal behavior. You heard me right. The former MMA star found himself on the wrong side of the law once again. And this time, he literally took it to the streets. It was April 22nd, 2023. And let me tell you, it was one hell of a day. Diaz woke up on the wrong side of the bed that morning and stirred up a lot of controversy at Miss Fist 006. First, he hurled a water bottle at Chase D'Amour. D'Amour already wasn't having the best day after an embarrassing disqualification loss to Stevie Knight. And thanks to Diaz, he also got a black eye the same night. As if this wasn't enough drama for one day, Diaz choked YouTuber Rodney Peterson until he dropped to the ground in the streets of New Orleans. You might be wondering what triggered Diaz to beat up Peterson. Yeah, like what did he actually do? Well, his only mistake was simply looking like Logan Paul. Yeah, Rodney's a lookalike of the Prime co-founder. This altercation earned Diaz an arrest warrant, but that wasn't the only thing it did. Nate only beat up Peterson because of how much he hates the Pauls. So this brawl hyped up their upcoming bout. Paul and Diaz are stepping into the same ring on August 5th, 2023. Dallas, Texas is ready for one crazy fight. And the New Orleans street brawl only made fans anticipate it more. I mean, Paul and Diaz have all this bad blood between them. Fans cannot wait for them to put it on display. These two rivals have had nothing but heated words for each other. So their pre-fight press conferences are about to bring fans a lot of entertainment. The online feud between them started when Diaz called out Paul for not being a real fighter. And it wasn't like he was lying. Paul has only fought retired MMA stars and other influencer boxers. And when he fought his first pro boxer, Tommy Fury, he lost. So the YouTuber can't really call himself a pro boxer, and Diaz was only pointing that fact out for him. Of course, it pissed Paul off, and he did what he does best: take shots at people on the internet. Ever since then, these two have been going on about destroying each other in the ring. And Diaz was an influencer boxing hater, but he still took this fight simply to prove a point, that he's better than Paul. I don't think both these athletes realized how much they were putting on the line when they signed on the dotted line. They probably did it in all fun and games, but Diaz and Paul both have a lot at stake here. As in both their entire careers. Do you have any idea how bad it'll look for Paul if he loses a second fight in a row? He's not coming in too strong here. 2 losses in a row will give critics a lot to talk about. Plus, fans won't be as interested to see him fight if he keeps losing. There's too much to lose for Jake. And the same goes for Nate. Yeah, hear me out on this one. Remember when I told you how much the Stockton native hated influencer boxing? Of course he doesn't have long-term plans to do it. The former MMA star has way bigger plans. The athlete wants to return to the UFC and make a run for the championship, which of course he won't be able to do if he loses to a former Disney star. I mean, no one at the top of the UFC food chain would want to fight someone who lost to Jake Paul. Just imagine the headlines. Nate Diaz beat McGregor but lost to a content creator. That isn't going to be too good. Everyone's a bit concerned for both these fighters because it won't end well for whoever loses. Many UFC pros are even calling this a bad lineup. Yup, the UFC world thinks it's a clown show. Hear me out. Like Tate, there are many others who think it's going to be an interesting fight. But not everyone is as on board with this lineup. Sean Strickland said that this fight was a joke. It's safe to say he won't be tuning in to watch. Dylan Denise isn't too excited about it either. I think it's the fact that a retired 155er is going against a juiced TikToker at 185 who lost to a recreational boxer that's bothering these pros. Yeah, 2 men who hate each other settling things with a boxing fight sounds good, but the fight is not so good on paper. So from the UFC world calling this upcoming bout a clown show, to the former kickboxer getting honest about fake YouTube BS, this was how Andrew Tate reacted to the Paul versus Diaz bout.